Welcome, everybody, to another Empowering Your Circle podcast. I'm Hazel, and I'm so excited to be now talking to a really lovely lady on the other screen, Brigitta from NUX Photography. So, welcome, Brigitta.
Hey, Hazel, wow, you are such a pro. Look at you, just jumping in, going, hi, everybody. Brilliant, brilliant. Hi.
So, let me introduce a little bit more about Brigitta. So, I've met her, I don't know how, it's probably a few months ago now. Um, and she struck me immediately as somebody who cares, somebody who's full of joy, and also she's a very passionate photographer. So it's very important to have that sort of person when you are going to have your photos taken, because you need that kind of feeling that it's natural. And I suppose we're going to find out a little bit in a little while, but about the fact that I know Brigitta used to be an actress and a model. It might be some of the reason why she can bring out the best in people. Um, but she discovered that her love is actually behind the camera, not in front of the camera. And I think that's really important, because if you look behind her on her background, you'll see some amazing photos that she's captured, which I feel are very natural. And I think it comes from everybody that I've spoken to that's had their photos taken with Brigitta. They feel a lot more at ease and a lot more confident when they finish in somebody that's in front of the camera. So she offers something called photographic therapy, and we're just going to find out a little bit more about what that actually means. So I'm going to hand over to you, Brigitta, to tell us what that means.
I was just going to say, you said it all. Bye.
No, yeah, I don't know what photographic therapy really is.
Oh, Hazel, thank you for having me. And it was one of the highlights of my 2025 to have met you. I can only return the compliment. You are such a joyful, caring person. Each time I see you, my heart automatically opens. You know, when you see a person and you go, oh, hey, hi. You know, that's the feeling with you. I would like to thank you for that sensation. Brilliant. So what is photographic therapy? It's so difficult to explain. I talked to another photographer yesterday, actually, and we tried to ascertain how to bring it across in 2 sentences. You basically can't do it
No.
because people would book you for branding photography because they need headshots for their business, this and that. And they think photographic therapy, I don't need therapy. Don't need any of that. The point is they get it anyway because I can't do any different. I am not a therapist. It's my clients who call it photographic therapy. They invented that term.
Oh,
I would never pretend that I'm anything like a therapist. That said, after 15 years, you kind of get a hang with it. And you have to live it. You have to have a session to understand what it really is. I can tell you that most people have what we call scopophobia.
mm-hmm.
We talked
A
about
word
this.
that I
Yeah, a
only
good
learnt
word.
a little while ago.
Yeah. So scopophobia is the fear of appearing, the fear of showing yourself, the fear of speaking, the fear of showing up, also in front of the lens. Most people hate it. Some love it, great for them, but most people have scopophobia. So they step through my door of my little home studio, for example, and they're super, super nervous. And they say, okay, let's get it done and over with. And I'm so nervous. And I had my hair done. And is this all right? And what am I going to do with my hands? And do I have to smile? And they just have 1,000 questions. They're so nervous about having their picture taken. Then we go into the process, which means I take my time for everything. I want to have a coffee or a tea or whatever they want, Prosecco, with them first. And a good chat because I need to know them, even though I did have
Yeah.
probably a FaceTime or whatever with them beforehand. I want to feel them. And I developed a skill for that, for feeling people rather quickly by now.
You do that. It's one of the things you do really well, I have to say. You put
It's
people at ease so easily and so quickly.
it's part of the passion. loving people. Who are you? What
Yeah.
do you do? Why do you feel like it? Where does it come from? And sometimes you don't get precise answers. You don't know the exact trauma that is behind someone, but you sense, okay, there is trauma here, you know.
Yeah.
And during our sessions, or my sessions, on those sessions, here we go again, so brackets, try and say voluptuousness is so difficult for me. So during our sessions, I just got a skill to make anyone unfold, no matter how close they are, no matter what profession they are in. They feel safe, I guess, and they're in a safe space because my studio is not an antiseptic studio. It's a cozy little studio, right? And
Yeah.
and they want to unfold. So in the end, you have headhunters or financial people who want to be the rock star, or women who haven't felt it for many, many years suddenly feel their beauty again, and
Mm.
sometimes their sensuality, and that's the exact reason why I do what I do. If it was just for good photos that I can deliver, fine. But that moment where a woman goes, oh yeah, this is me. Where was that? I haven't seen that
Yeah.
that me for a few years or for whatsoever. And it's not changing that lady, not slapping on the makeup and
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's also finding their story, isn't it? Because everyone's got something and we hide a lot of it, especially if you're a mum, you're known as someone's mum, you're known as someone's wife, you're known as somebody's daughter, you're known as somebody's something else. And it's really difficult when you are, you know, you're not letting yourself be yourself. And part of that is to enable yourself to go and have photos. We can all take selfies. Whenever I go out somewhere and I'm on my own, it's like, oh, no one's here to take my picture. Okay, I'll just stand with it in the background and take all these pictures of me, which is easy to do. But I think it doesn't really tell a story. It's about finding that inner self. And I think that's what a good photographer can do. I mean, years ago I had my headshots done. I have to say, you and I still haven't had that, but which we will in the new year. But the last photographer that did my thing, which is when I owned my previous business, um, I looked for lots of photographers. There was lots of them. And I was like, I didn't know. But then one of them said, leave it with me. It's a surprise. You don't know where I'm taking you for the photos until that day. So, so I was like, I was really intrigued. I was like, I don't know.
Were you
So
nervous? More nervous or less nervous because of it?
I would say she made me feel calm. So I was a bit
Good,
worried
good.
at the beginning about where we were going to go. But at the time, my business was called Learn, Grow, Transform. And she took me to Kenwood House in
Mm-hmm.
Hampstead.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked around. So I joined her in the car park. This is where we're going to be. I went, oh, okay. And I didn't really know exactly what she had planned, but there was lots of pictures with nature and all that sort of stuff behind me. Then she specifically took pictures of um, these bits of like the flowers. So there was like a bud that wasn't open yet. So that was learn. And then one that was a little bit bigger that was grow. And then one a bit bigger that was transform. And so when she did that, that was part of the photos she gave me because she said, you can use that, and she said, and she got me to take this photo. She said, just stand there. I'm not going to really, whenever I'm just going to give you some directions. You won't know when I'm taking the photo. She said, I just want you to look up as if you're like looking for answers. And there's some really good photos that I didn't even know she was taking because
Yeah,
it was so natural in what she was asking me to do that I just didn't feel like this doubt in my mind. And I think that's what's really important when you find a photographer. It's how they make you feel, because it is like you said, some people struggle with that feeling of anxiety. I think that's anxiety. I think that's the word I was looking for.
yeah, yeah.
There's that feeling of, okay, people are going to see these pictures. What
Yeah,
do I look like? What are they going to be? Do I need, like you said, do I need makeup? Do I need to do my hair?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
you know, but
It's
I think
it's
it's you've got to be natural as well. There's an element of being natural in your pictures.
it sounds like this lady really heard you and felt you.
Mm,
She took
I think she
time
did.
to study you just a little bit beforehand, and that then creates the trust. And
Yeah,
without the trust, you don't get good photographs. Forget that. Yeah.
yeah.
So well done, you guys. Did you bring several outfits or to that
Didn't
shoot?
actually. She just got, and some of the photos she made black and white as
Oh,
well. So
nice.
she kind of changed them up a little bit with the kind of black and white. And I know, and I hadn't seen anyone else do that. So it was quite interesting when she gave me and all these pictures. And I said, oh, I quite like those black and white ones because I've not really seen black and
Yeah,
white for a long time. So yeah.
lovely. And did you get all the photographs or did you have to choose like five?
No, she just gave me the
Brilliant, brilliant. Such an advocate for that because the point is when someone books you for a shoot and you shoot, let's say 400 pictures, you put it down to 200, you give them to a client and you say, okay, you pay for 12 pictures, choose 12 pictures. The client will choose very possibly the 12 best ones. Yeah.
yeah,
But the in-between shots, the ones which become interesting once you're over the best ones. The, the
right.
little the little nuances of faces, like you said, looking up or maybe cracking up or maybe even looking silly. Silly pictures are the best. The clients always says, "Oh, I won't use these ones." And
Yeah.
then what do you see on LinkedIn? The silly picture. Because why? Because they are scroll stoppers. They
Mm.
just show a little bit more fun and soul, I find. So if you don't give your client all the photographs of the shoot, they are missing out. And you as a photographer as well, because you're not well advertised, I think.
No. And I think there is a mix, isn't there? You've got to have a mix when you have your photos taken. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting because I just in Australia before I brought my mum here and sadly she's not with us anymore. But um, a friend of ours had come down with us near the water where mum and dad lived, and I said, can you take a couple of pictures of mum and I, like we were hugging each other and like standing next to each
Oh,
other. But then when we moved away, we sort of just faced each other as if I was talking to her in different ways. I had no idea that she was still taking pictures of mum and I doing that. So I've got some
really?
really natural pictures that we weren't standing for. And I like them better.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they were so natural. It just felt like it was real. And I think that's
Documentary
what I love.
style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So um, there's a number of posts that you've been putting up, and I look at you and you do all these videos.
Oh God.
Um, no, and I think they're brilliant because what it's doing is enabling us to see what you're like. You know, because if we're going to work with somebody, you want to be able to see what somebody is and being honest because I think there's a lot of honesty in what you're telling us because one of the things that you have posted on LinkedIn and I was there that day when you had anxiety yourself like
Yeah.
standing up in front of people
Yeah.
so for me it's good to know that somebody that we are going to work with has that ability to understand if we're feeling that
Yeah.
anxiety so if someone comes to you and they are feeling anxious, right? And I know you say you sit down with them and things like that, but do you have any tips that you or things that you work through with them to just bring them calmly into the session? Is there
Yeah.
anything you kind of
So
say
you,
to them or
yeah, I start quite technically, but during that process of technicalities, I talk with the person. I keep so the coffee chat or the prosecco chat we had before. We keep on going. We keep on going, and it always ends up in some kind of silliness or laughter at some point, and that is the moment where people go, okay, this is actually fun. I'm safe. And they present more of themselves from then onwards. I
yeah,
also I also have something I use. which I used to teach kids about acting because I used to be an actress, right?
Yeah.
And I'm using that with my clients. I call it dramatic branding photography.
Oh,
I make people act. And they say, I'm not an actor. I say, great, it's even better. So, and that even the shyest person who says, I don't want to have anything to do with acting, there are very simple exercises. I'm
oh,
laughing now. I'm laughing now thinking of it. See, and when I'm laughing, they start laughing too. So basically, silliness and fun, together with, in other moments, complete profoundness and maybe even drama, that creates this sensation of when they leave later on saying, for to begin with, it was easy, it was fun, and actually I want to keep on going. And it's remarkable to see that process.
yeah. I mean, it's a big transformation if someone comes in anxious, but they walk out confident. That says a lot
And Hazel,
for
it
what you've
lasts.
done.
They walk out confident and they'll never forget that moment.
Mm,
It's a few hours of their life, and they can always come back to the way they felt there because it's
yeah,
real. And because it was
yeah,
real, it'll always be with them.
yeah, I agree. And I
Mm.
think that's really important because when I run confidence workshops and things with people, one of the things that they often say is, I can't feel confident because this or this or this. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to go back, like you just said, find a space where you were confident, where there was a level of confidence that you were like, you, whoa, that's how I felt. That's when I felt it. Because if you can find that again, you can move on from that using similar steps you did before. And so I think, having a really good photo session, it could be lots of different things. But I think when you get to that point, people are like, oh, yes, okay, I remember there. I went from anxious to confident and let me do that again,
Yeah,
and I think that's important.
yeah, absolutely. I had sometimes with ladies, there was such a drastic contrast from the time they arrived. And they started crying before I even photographed them because they said, oh my God, no one paid ever that much attention to me. And at the
Mhm.
end of the session, get this, Hazel, she comes and she says, this one, she says, would you do some nudes of me? Would you
Okay.
believe that? Would you believe that?
Wow.
I mean, that's remarkable. That happened a few times with different people. And
Wow.
I'm not, it's not on my menu, nudes. I mean, I can do them, but isn't that, oh my God,
Wow. That's
each
very
time
powerful.
when I think
That's
of that, it
really
moves me
powerful.
so much. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at a couple of like a couple of recommendations that are on here
Oh,
about you.
oh. I was going to ask you something more about me. Okay, come
Yeah.
on then.
Oh, no, no, just a minute. So um, I just wanted to, there's a couple of different things here. So one person says, working with Brigitta has been an extraordinary, fun, joyful, and light experience. She has not only a mix of professional talents, but her vibrant personality. She knows how to bring the best out of you. So she uses all different kind of angles and different things to make us feel like we don't even see each other from one side. So I think that's one of the things I was going to ask too. Like, what kind of do you like use props? Do you use um like I don't know, a scenic background? Like what, let's take one person for example. If you looked at somebody who is, I guess, like me, a service-based business, um I work in my own office, some of my training obviously is online. I don't necessarily, so what kind of photography would you do for like a service-based business owner?
Well, the first question I would have, how do you want to come across? But it's very clear that you need a few very professional, neutral photographs. So
Hmm.
I'd ask you to bring several outfits. For example, we begin with the professional one in a suit on a white backdrop, and we will have you in all kinds of positions. And sorry, that sounds so wrong. You know,
What do you mean?
angles. And so we make sure, and maybe we do the same again in front of your branding colors, so another backdrop. And so you're sure you have those professional pictures. But
Mhm.
also you might on media not always want to appear as this sharp professional person. Maybe you want to show more of yourself. Hey,
Yep.
I walk in the woods, or look, I'm in a beautiful park, or I don't know, I'm having a cafe in a beautiful cafe, a coffee in a cafe.
Yep.
You know, and maybe, and I make sure that the colors again are the right ones. Maybe I know a cafe that has a wallpaper with your branding colors. The point is, everyone's individual. No one is the same. And the moment the person arrives, you would arrive, I would say we play. And
Mhm.
what that means is almost going back to the state when we were 5, 6, 7 years old, and we have a play date. What
Uh,
shall we put on now? Where shall we do this one? Where would that outfit would look good on that bench outside or whatever? The inspiration comes with the person. Of course, I know different sets, and I have by now. It feels like 100 backdrops in my little home studio. Um,
wow.
but the moment you come in, there is some preparation, of course, but the spontaneous inspiration always comes when the person arrives. And we play. And you know what? If some pictures might be crap or the colors are not don't come out quite right, it's the digital age. We just don't use them.
Yeah.
Delete,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, because that's a big change, isn't it? Because actually, when you think about it, you photography back then, we had the
Mm.
little the cameras, with the film, and you got to wait for it to come back, or someone's got to, that's a big change because
Yeah,
now it is a bit easier to say, okay, those ones didn't work, let's try again,
yeah, that's
rather than
right.
before.
And the
So,
editing, imagine the editing before on film, it was you had
yeah.
to go to a professional, or you could maybe do something in the dark chamber. You could do a little bit of more light, more contrast, whatever. But now the editing, I love it, Hazel. Hazel, I tell you, I have a coffee or a prosecco, and I sit here with my big screen where I have you now, and it's like painting. Very
Oh,
subtle,
oh,
nothing too
yeah,
much ever, because the person needs to remain themselves.
yeah,
But it's like it's such a meditative thing to do. I love editing, and that wasn't possible back then. So
yeah. I can't imagine. It would have been so difficult to
mm,
go through all of that.
yeah,
If you took, I don't know, 100 photos, it's like must have been very tricky because I mean, I was never a official photographer, but when I got my films back, which might take a week, you're like, oh, is that what I took? Oh, I don't like those. And then you're like,
yeah,
I've now taken all these pictures that actually are not so great. Now it's like, oh, I can just fix it, and do these things. But I think it's
yeah.
really important to look at that. So um,
I,
earlier you did touch
yeah,
on how you've brought stuff from acting and modeling and stuff to help behind the camera.
yeah.
But what made you do that transition? Because that's an interesting transition to be in front of the camera and then move to behind the camera. Was there something that instigated that? Was there something to make that
Yeah.
happen?
So I'm behind the camera since I was 9. My parents gave me the
Ah,
first Polaroid camera in 1970. I don't remember when it came out. I was 9 years old, I believe. And and I've always took photos, and I
wow.
film. I film as well. If you want me to do a film for you,
Ah,
I'm your girl as well. So that's all has always been a passion. Naturally, when I then was in front of the cameras acting or modeling, I looked, how do they do that? How does that work? Where is that light sitting? How does that
wow. Okay.
connect? And I asked the photographers, brilliant photographers. How does it work? And they were delighted. Oh my God, here you've got this chick actually interested in the technicalities. That's a bit different. And I went, okay, so I learned my trade that
Yep.
way. And I also learned at that time that I have a passion for real faces, because models and actors are very beautiful people, and it's a joy to photograph them because it's easy. The light has it easy to fall on their face. Their angles are easy, right?
Yeah.
And personally, I liked the faces behind the camera. I liked the stylists and makeup artists and the photographers because they came with style. They had their own face and
Yeah.
their own style, you know. A model is a canvas. She comes neutral, and then you paint her and put stuff on her. But these people, so I liked photographing these people, and that's a passion I carried through. However, long story short, then came to England, got married. After the second child, I dropped the acting and the modeling because I couldn't stand it anymore. It was,
Right.
yeah, it was the auditions. I just couldn't, I didn't like it anymore. And then I floated a bit. And like I said, I taught kids in the primary school acting. It was called the acting club. I wouldn't call myself the a drama teacher because that I'm not that, but
Hmm.
the acting clubs. I taught them everything
Oh,
about
I love
acting,
it.
and we
Can-
made every year we made, oh my God, I think 6 films or so with
Wow.
the kid. Yeah, edited and beautiful. And I took pictures of people, and eventually, for free, of course, eventually local photographers came back to me and said, you need to stop doing that. You're hurting the trade. They said, and I take it now as a compliment, your pictures are too good. Either you charge and you
Hmm.
make it a business, or you stop. And I was, what? For me, running a business back then, that was completely bizarre, not a thing. But my friends, my husband, they all kind of said, absolutely, you need to start
Yeah.
that, da, 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 da. So 15 years ago, I founded NUX Photography, and I started charging
15
people.
years. Brigitta, 15 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so that's it. I think I'm still charging today. It took me ages to charge a good money. You know that, right?
Yeah.
People are like
Yeah.
that. And nowadays I charge better money, but I still don't think I'm super duper expensive compared
Yeah.
to others.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I was noticing, because I'm very good with body language and facial expressions, was you are real when you talk about like loving out the normal people almost,
Yeah.
because your face lit up, not so much when you were talking about photographing the models and things like that, but when you started to talk about like the photography of the people behind the camera,
Mm,
the
mm.
stylists and everything, your face just lit up. It was like watching a Christmas tree put the lights on.
It's true. It's true. I do love it. I do love people's faces. And sometimes the odder the face, the more I get excited. I know
Maybe we
it's
won't talk about those. So, so if you like you think about obviously you this is your living, but is there something that you like have that you want to offer people right now? Is there like things coming up that you've got, like some sort of an event or anything else that you might
I
want to tell us
yeah,
about?
that's so kind of you to ask. Normally I've got vouchers and family shoots and that, and in December, but it's the whole logistics and running a business is doing my head in. So I made it very simple. Everything in NUX Photography, if you book before the end of February, is 20% off. You
Wow.
book and you shoot anytime. If you want to shoot in July, fine. But this ends at the end of February 2026.
Oh my God, that's an amazing offer. So everybody
Thank
needs to
you.
go to Nooks.
Don't send me off yet. I have 2 questions for you. which were running around my head when I
Okay.
knew I was going to meet you. Do we have time for this?
Yes, that's all right.
Okay, so question number one. You were talking about kindness earlier. Kindness can be looked at as a weakness, in particularly when you don't do evil, when you are just made of kindness. You are such a kind person. I see
Oh
you
my.
running around helping people in meetings. You're always smiling. You pack your stress away and you open up to now me or but everyone. This is why you have the skill to do what you do. Now I have a question. Kind people often get bullied. Did you ever get bullied? And how did you handle it? If
Um, I wouldn't say bullied, but I do think that when you, especially if you work in a corporate space and you're kind and you take on different things, you tend to be the person that takes on more things because people come to you and you feel that they are utilizing the kindness because you tend not to be the person that says no very often. You tend to be the person that says, okay, let me help you or whatever, and it isn't a very conducive way of working because really and truly you take on too much. Your shoulders are not broad enough to take on a lot of things. um, so I have developed the ability to not say no but find another way around, like saying no. So,
how?
while
How?
working on your time, I think you've got to understand all of our time is so precious. If we try and do so much for everybody, it's a really trying time. It can be really hard. So I have found that, especially when you're working, you have to be able to say, unfortunately, I can't do that today, but this is the time I have available,
Oh,
and
okay.
setting it into your own schedule because if you say yes to everything, I mean, it's very good to say yes, especially if it's something new and you're like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. And you want to do it. But you have to also think kindly for yourself. And I think I've learned a lot of that as well since, like, obviously, you knew last year I was made redundant. And that was a really hard time in my life to get through. I struggled with, obviously I've lost my parents as well. So I've gone through a lot of whammies that have going to, created all this anxiety. And it's all of those things combined has made me go, okay, I need to take the time back for me. I need to be able to say, I'm being kind to as many people as I can when I have the capacity. If I don't, I have to then kind of make the timing different, make that ability to say, sadly, at the minute, I don't have time, but and creating the time frames that work for me. And I think that's the biggest thing in terms of being kind and being there for everybody, because there's a time when you can't be. You have to kind of
Mm,
go, I need to breathe. I need to
yeah,
take that time back. So I think that would be one thing I would be saying, because when you own your own business, you're a mum, you're a wife, your friends, you're doing all these things, you forget to take time out for you. And I think that's a really important tool. So things like, taking the time to go and have your photos taken is time for you. Going
oh,
and having a massage or getting your hair done or whatever is the time out for you. And you have to make that. You have to find that in yourself to be able to say, I can take time out. I can't, I
yeah,
don't, I can be kind to everybody, but I can take time out, you
yeah.
know.
Have you ever
So
had negative responses to people when you said sorry, not now, but later?
sometimes
But you just in that case, you're smiling now. It feels like oh yes, it happened, but oh, so it still feels odd to when someone doesn't respond well, right?
it does. And I think what's really important is that you have to be yourself because for years when you are everything to someone else, other people, whether you're working corporate, whether you own your own business and you've got all these clients and you've got all these things you're juggling every day, um, you aren't. And if we go back to where we first started in our conversation, where it's like, you are the maker of your own story. If you are at any point not finding your story, you're not being kind to yourself. If you're not kind to yourself, you can't be kind to other people, you know. And I think my kindness stems a lot from my mum and my dad. They extended a lot of that sort of stuff in me when, you know, when I was born, and you know, bringing up things, how how other people matter. And I think that's really important, you know, because for me, when I look around, like networking, right? So you and I are part of the same network. And when I think about it, I was part of the network in 2014 to 2018, and I went into corporate, and I came back into the folds of our networking in January, February of this year. And it was like coming home. It
Oh,
you know, everybody was there for me. And, you know, I've kind of just returned the favor. When somebody's upset, I feel like it's part of me to kind of help fix it. I don't know. It's always been who I am. And I
you're
don't think
made
I could
of
ever change.
kindness through and through.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever change.
Is there an angry Hazel? I can't imagine it.
Oh, yes. You haven't seen that. No one else will see that.
Rah!
Okay.
Oh,
There is a behind
see,
the scenes. It's the behind the camera.
when I have you in front of my lens, I will make you act the angry Hazel. I would like to see that. I have a last question because I know you probably totally short for time now. So whenever I see you like you are today, with I think you have no makeup on.
No, I've got a bit of mascara at the minute. That's it.
How do you rock the no makeup look like you do? Wow.
I'm sure, I don't know. I do wear makeup sometimes when I like, for example, the place that I'm doing associate training for, they invited me to their Christmas party tonight, which is very exciting. So I probably will put makeup on for that.
Give
But
it.
yeah, I won't go overboard. You know, someone said it was interesting because I was talking to a lady that I was working with. She said, "Oh, I've been putting my makeup on so that we can, you know, not do this podcast." It was when I was, it was even when we were on radio. So actually, no one was even going to see her. But she'd actually put on, like, she said, "I have to look good and everything else." And I said, "I know we're going to take a picture and stuff, but you probably don't need to have as much." But she said, "Oh, it's taken me an hour to put my makeup together." And I was like, okay. So we weren't on live or anything at the time. And I said to her, an hour. So she said, yes. How long does it take you to do your makeup? And I said, maybe 10
Uh,
minutes. So, you know, even
Brilliant.
5 if I'm on the run. So she said, oh my God, how do you do it so quickly? I said, look, you know, I don't plaster it. I don't, like a lady was sitting on the train the other day. It took 45 minutes from the very first stop that I'm on to where she and I both got off actually. And she had done nothing but do her makeup. She had her bag open and she's like, you know, with her mirror and everything
Did
else.
you
And she
end
was
up
like,
looking good? That's the
I mean,
thing.
she didn't look bad, but I was like, that's like 45 minutes. And also I was a bit worried because the train was moving around quite a lot. So I was like trying to put things on her. But
Oh
for
yeah, yeah.
me, I've always been quite natural. I think I've
Ah,
never really gone out and spent thousands on makeup and everything else. It's never been in my remit. I think the biggest thing for me is probably the mascara and stuff because my eyelashes are so light that sometimes I like to be able to have something else, you know. But other than that, it's very random.
well,
I
my
just
compliments to you. It's almost, well, to me, maybe not to others, but to me, it's almost a trademark with you. And I
okay.
think you really, like I said, you're rocking that look.
Oh, thank you. Good. So I don't really need to have a lot of makeup when I come to see you then.
Oh, no, 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 no. You don't. Absolutely not. You come like this, and then we augment if we wanted to, and we could end up putting red lipstick on you.
Oh, like you've got something like that.
Power. Red
The
lipstick has a
power.
bit of a power thing, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does have a bit of a power. That's right. Before we go, Brigitta,
Mm.
I always ask people whether they've got like a tip or a quote that they love to share with people. So,
Um, I keep on saying that. I hope that it's not going to be boring, but it is a biggie, a tip. I've got the quotes won't come to my head now, but a tip would be drop self-perception. And even if it's just for an hour, don't look at yourself in the critical way that we do, like this doesn't right, that's not right, here is a flaw, there is a mistake. Look at yourself with the eyes someone who loves you looks at you, or maybe your mother, how did she look at you? That way, it will enable you to see your assets, your beauty, your physical
Love
beauty,
it.
and of course, the inner beauty. We mustn't even talk about that. That's quite clear. So drop self-perception. That
Oh,
can
I love it.
change your life. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's really lovely. So thank you, Brigitta, for being on my show. And also, Christmas Day, you'll be part of lovely ladies who are providing tips for everyone through Empowering Your Circle. So it'll be through the same channel of YouTube. It'll also going to be on Spotify because we've got a number of tips for everybody to
Yeah.
start 2026. So it's going to be really exciting. And I'm so excited that you're part of that as well.
Yeah, me
So,
too. Thank you so much for having me, you brilliant woman. Thank you.
oh, you're so welcome, Brigitta.
Okay.
I'm just
Merry
gonna,
Christmas.
yeah, Merry Christmas.